Take questions.
All right, well, Danny, I feel like I ask you this every kind of year. We're talking about arm angles, and what I'm asking really is how important is it to stay crafty and be able to evolve in a bullpen role? Just because I know bullpens are kind of volatile from year to year, but just how important is it to stay, crafty, I guess?
I think very important. I think that's kind of what has made not only me but our entire team unique. In years past, is we've had so many guys that are able to do a lot of different things really well, and I think that's kind of what makes us so effective as a pitching staff. Is we have so many guys that have different kind of looks from different arm angles, and I think that is what has helped us get to where we are and continue to get where we want to go. So,
Hopes and dreams for this season ahead?
personally,
Yeah.
I don't really think too much into the personal accolades. I think I just know where I want us to go and where our older guys want us to go as a team. And obviously it's Omaha and win a national championship, but whatever I can do to help the team win, whether that's pitching a lot, pitching a little bit, starting, relieving, it doesn't really matter to me. Just helping us win and do what we need to do to get where we want to go. So,
Who's kind of stood out amongst the new guys on the staff this year?
I think Ethan Norby is really good. I think he's got a lot of promise. Obviously, he's around from where I'm from, so we kind of worked out a lot together over break. And I think just seeing him progress from where he was in August compared to now, he's got so much potential to be a really big part of what we're trying to accomplish this season. There's transfers like Chris Kaler, who's got a lot of experience in college coming from George Washington, and he's got a lot of potential as well. And there's numerous others, but I think those are the two that stand out to me, and I think Norby can be a big part of what we have, starting or relieving, and the same thing with Chris. So,
Coach Knight mentioned you as one of the older guys now in the pitching rotation. How have you kind of took that from the standpoint of leadership, and what do you tell the younger guys to come up?
I think that was one of the things that I knew I needed to work on coming into this year, was being the only guy left from the 21 team pitching wise. So I knew that, the younger kids were going to look up to me and kind of, not mimic me, but kind of understand that I've been the longest tenured pitcher. So it was one of those things where I knew I need to kind of have a pedigree coming in, and I think I've done a good job, but I couldn't have done it without Trey, Coach Knight, Coach G. All those guys have helped me become the leader and the player that I am today. But I think, we talk about it all the time about how this is like the closest group, not only pitching but as a team, we've had since I've been here. And I think it is going to show when it comes, game time in the spring, where any kind of adversity we're faced with, good, bad, indifferent, it's going to be handled because of just the relationships that we've created and how we're able to kind of navigate through stuff. And I think it's just going to pay dividends down the road. So,
Danny, can you talk about the improvements from, say, the fall until now as far as the team is concerned?
Yeah, we're always developing. We're going to be different from the time we're now till opening day, and then opening day to May, and then therefore. So I think we're always developing and trying to get better. I think it's a forever process of just not being complacent with where you are, whether you're good or bad. But obviously there's guys that have stuff to work on, myself included, and we're going to keep doing that until the season gets here. And then as the season goes on, if there's bumps in the road, we'll figure those out and get through them. But I think we're looking phenomenal at the play, as we always do, just because of the fact that we have such an older lineup that has so much experience in terms of playing in big games, having big at-bats, and the same thing on the pitching side. Trey's Trey, he's going to be awesome for us on Fridays, and we just have a lot of guys that have played in big games and have the experience of being able to handle themselves and not have a lot of jitters, and I think it's gonna be fun come February. So,
2 summers ago, you played for the Asheboro Zookeepers. What did you do this summer and in the fall to prepare yourself for the upcoming year?
This summer, I actually stayed back and helped work camp and stuff. I threw a lot towards the back end of the year last year, so myself and the coach staff thought it was just the best idea for me to kind of take a little break and just meet with the freshmen, help them kind of get accustomed to everything that was going on here, and get them used to what college is like, because it's kind of tough coming as a freshman. I didn't have a freshman summer because of Corona, so it was a little different, but having them, I think me and a bunch of older guys here, to kind of get them used to being, an athlete and having all these responsibilities every day was good. And then this fall was fun. It's my 4th fall, so it's kind of getting monotonous, but it was still just as fun as it was when I was a freshman. You don't take these kind of things for granted because, at the end of the day, being a Pirate's special, and I don't think anybody on this team ever takes anything for granted. So I think we understand how blessed we are and grateful we are to have the opportunities that we have, and I think it's going to be a really special year.
You mentioned your workload. You led the conference in appearances last year with 31. Do you like that kind of workload? Do you hope to be a little bit more of a specialist? How does that kind of play into things?
I don't mind. I don't really care what role I'm in. I think whatever the team needs me to do, I'm going to do it. I want to pitch every day, and it's not realistic, but it's one of the things that I take pride in is being available, because I think the best ability is availability. So it's one of those things where as often as I can pitch, the better. It's just the preparation that goes into it, the recovery stuff that I can do to put myself and the team in the best position to win is what I'm going to do. But I don't really care, like I said earlier, what role it is. It's whatever I can do to help the team win. So.
The relationship between a pitcher and a catcher is probably the most important in baseball. Just what's your relationship with Justin Wilcoxon like? Since you've both been here for a while, so.
Yeah, it's been good. It's certainly developed. I mean, as he's probably, or you guys have been able to tell, he's normally pretty quiet. And he was quiet the first couple years I was here, but we actually played on the Zookeepers together that one summer. So we lived together, shared a bathroom, like got to know each other pretty well. So I mean, we developed a pretty close relationship, and he's one of my really close friends. So I mean, and Ryan likewise too. I mean, Ryan kind of grew up from where I was from, so we've known each other since I was little. The year after I left high school, he played my high school in the state championship. So I mean, we've known each other for a while, and we're super close. J-Dub's caught me for, forever it feels like, and he's caught a lot of big games too. And he's caught my bullpens. He's seen me at my worst and my best. So it's like, I think one of those things where the closer you can be with those guys, the better, because they can know how to navigate your good times and your bad times, know how to talk to you, know how to motivate you, know how to kind of bring you down a little bit. So it's forever developing, and I'm sure we're going to even get to know each other closer this year, but it's good. It's going to be good. So.
What was your main focus of improvement during the off season? What did you want to work on the most?
It's a lot of stuff. It's more, I think, getting stronger, getting more mobile. Obviously, the pitches can obviously get even more developed than they already are. Like I was saying earlier, it's always one of those things where you're forever developing. You're never getting like, okay, I'm good enough. This is where I'm pretty comfortable being here, because if you get that, it's just people are gonna pass you by. But Coach Knight and I have worked day in and day out on just continuing to make my stuff better than it was last year, because I think if it gets to the point where if I can be better even more than I was last year, just stuff-wise, mentality-wise, it's going to be even more of a great year for the staff. So,
Coach Godwin told us that it was this year's leadership crew that presented this year's motto. Would you mind presenting it to us?
Yeah. So our motto is discipline equals freedom this year. We had a book to read over break. It was called Extreme Ownership. A couple old SEALs wrote it, and we listened to it or read it over break. And there's a group of, I think, 13 or 14 of us that kind of had some FaceTime calls, group texts over break, and we were kind of, I guess, throwing ideas against the wall, see if what we liked, what we didn't like, and we took a vote, and that's what we landed on. I think it really just embodies what we're about this year. The more discipline that we can have, the better off we're going to be. And it's one of those things where I think at the end of the day, if as a team, not only just the leaders, but as a team, if the more discipline that we can have, the more guys we can hold accountable to doing what we need to do every single day, more based on the process than anything, not results, not what your parents are saying, not what the fans are saying, anything like that, we're going to be better off. So I think that is one of the kind of goals that we wanted to get at with the motto, and I think we hit it pretty good.
And all you guys got the physical tools. How about the mental side of it, and not kind of getting in your own head when you're out there on the mound? Is that something you can improve on, work on, or do you just have to deal with it, face adversity, and get over it? How do you handle that?
I think a little bit of both. I think it's one of those, as you get to the age where you've been in college for 4 years and you've pitched in big games, and you pitch well and you pitch bad, and the same thing goes for the hitters, same thing goes for the younger guys too. It's kind of getting your feet wet and just kind of getting used to the outing, getting used to the environment, because not every player gets to play in a place like this. But it's a learning curve for sure, because it's a lot different than when you were in high school and you're playing in front of 100 people, whatever, and half of them are your friends and family. But it's a forever developing thing. That's one of the things that the older guys try to impress on the younger guys is, if anything, the mental game is more important than your physical ability, because at the end of the day, you're going to face adversity, and you can't always fix adversity with physical traits, getting stronger, going and taking out the weight or whatever. It's got to be one of those things where you take it out and, you know, work on your mental game, meditate, whatever it is. And I think that's one thing that the pitching staff this year has done a really good job of taking a lot of accountability on themselves in, is developing their mental game. And I think, at least in the early spring and in the fall, they've done a great job of handling themselves when, you know, the game's kind of slapped them in the face a little bit.
Coach talked about some of the in-state teams that you guys play so often. Just as a player, what's it like being part of that environment? Because obviously baseball around here, people get pretty fired up.
Yeah. I mean, it's JC and I were talking about it a second ago. It's kind of cool having a Tuesday game at 4:30 with 8,000 people here. You know, stuff like that doesn't happen everywhere, and we don't. Again, like I said, don't take it for granted, because we are beyond blessed to be able to play for, you know, these coaches and these fans. And I think it's only going to get better this year with, you know, the hype that's surrounding us. But I think it's all going to come to fruition with the hard work and preparation we put in early in the year in the scrimmages, and putting ourselves in the best position to succeed when those games do come up, and the environments like that do happen.
What's your walkout song?
I'm not telling you, Shane. Not yet. Still got to tell you. Got to wait on it. So I told you, I'll be the first one to let you know.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yep. Thanks, guys.